My name is Emma Jackson, and I'm a sophomore at Center College, and this is my story. On the last day of my internship, there I stood in my office, the walls papered with photos and interview transcripts that I collected over the summer. And I was staring into the lens of my very own camera, finally faced with the question that I had been asking people all summer. What does UPO mean to you? And I froze. What could I say that in any way compared to the incredible stories that I had witnessed and heard? This summer, I worked as a communications intern for the United Planning Organization, which is the designated community action agency in Washington, D.C. It was an incredible opportunity, and I learned a great deal. When I came in, my boss actually was 2 weeks into the job herself, filling a 5-month vacancy, so we truly did hit the ground running. I'd like to discuss 3 projects that really made an impact on my summer and that I gladly got to participate in. I learned an incredible deal. The first project was a reading literacy program, and this project allowed me to focus on the fact that reading literacy is a huge problem in the United States, and in particular in impoverished districts of DC, such as Ward 7 and Ward 8. And what this program allowed me to do is to construct ability and projects that allowed kids to learn to read and to love to read. And I got to go witness this and go visit school systems and see kids' faces light up as they read for the first time and truly read something they enjoyed. Because if they could bring that love of reading home, that would grow with them and become something that they could use for the rest of their life. And that I identify with as an avid reader myself. Second, a big project we worked on was a healthy living program. This was thrown at me, and I honestly had no idea what to do with it at first, because my bosses wanted me to create a comprehensive healthy living program for people, teaching them where they can get healthy food, how they can prepare that food, and then where's a safe place that they can exercise, and how can they afford that exercise, or what are exercises they can do in their own home. Because as I found out, obesity is a huge problem in underserved communities, especially in Washington, D.C., reaching up to 70% in some wards, and that fact absolutely shocked me. And so I went to work researching the best ways, and I found out that DC is in fact a food desert. So finding healthier food at a cheap cost is actually incredibly difficult. With people behind me, we set up a team that allowed resources to be easily displayed to the community, and people were finally able to have access to these healthy foods, but also now recipes, so they knew how to prepare those foods at a low cost. And this is something that was incredible because it saw how just a little bit of giving people what they want and having them be able to do it for themselves really impacted their own lives. Them being able to take charge of their own health and truly make that into a passion. And finally, the most important project that I was a part of was one called I Am UPO. And that was the brainchild of my boss. She came to me and she told me she wanted to have a photo story to show the impact of the United Planning Organization on people's lives. And I was excited because I'm a photographer, and I got to have the opportunity every photojournalist truly dreams of. Every few days a week, I got to go out into the community, take pictures of people from all walks of life and interview them, asking them the question that was brought up earlier, what does UPO mean to you? And I heard amazing stories. We interviewed former board members, current staffers, every sort of customer that UPO had ever had. And the stories that I heard were absolutely amazing. From a man that commutes 3 hours to work every single day simply because he loves his job so much, to a woman who told me crying how she was kicked out of her apartment building and she was jobless and she was on the streets and 6 months pregnant when she found UPO. And now she has a place to stay, she has job certifications and a job, and they're helping her start her own small business. These 3 projects allowed me to see the true impact that nonprofits have on people's lives. And not just nonprofits, but especially community action agencies, which are slowly dying out in the United States. And working on one, I saw just how hard the people in this organization work. I worked in the executive office of UPO, and there was not a day that the executive members stayed for lunch or went home exactly when they were supposed to. So often they missed lunches and they stayed hours after because they were dedicated to helping others. And it was an incredibly inspiring sight to see. I have to say, when I first found this internship, I was drawn to the city more than I was the idea of working for the nonprofit. I'm interested in politics, and DC always seemed like a mecca of power and policies, and it inspired me. But even on the first day of my job, I realized how terrible this perception can be, especially when you're hit with statistics like the fact that 1 in every 3 children in DC is living below the poverty line, or the fact that there are 7,000 homeless people on the streets every night. And so working for an organization that does things to directly impact these people's lives shows that I think there's a future, and that's maybe something that I'd like to do for the rest of my life. All of these thoughts swirled around my head as I stared into the lens of my camera, faced with that question that I was talking about earlier. What does UPO mean to me? UPO means perseverance in the face of adversity. It means not ever giving up, always striving to achieve more despite the obvious and tough consequences that might occur. Because I saw the hardest working people that I've ever seen in my entire life. And they were not the ones working for UPO. They were the ones who were working to bring themselves out of a gutter. Oftentimes, not something they had created, but something that was dealt down to them. And that is what this internship gave me the opportunity to experience, is to see how hardworking people can work together with other hardworking people and aspire for something greater. Thank you.